In order to find exponential growth and decay, the first thing we have to do is be able to find our multiplier. If I have an equation like y equals 3 times 2 to the n power, it's easy to see, if it doubles, it's easy to see that the multiplier is 2 because you're just multiplying everything by 2. If it doubles, that's the same thing as having 200% of what you had before. So doubling, you take 100%, you multiply it times 2. So we would double if it was 200%. Now, if I said I wanted something to grow by a rate of 7%, so let's say we have growth of 7%. Okay, so growth or decay always starts from 100%. 100% doesn't change anything. If you go over 100%, it gets bigger. If you go under 100%, it gets smaller. So you have growth and decay. So to find my multiplier for 7% growth, I would take 100%, which is the amount that I start with, and I would add 7% to that 100%, which gives me 107%. So my multiplier, to find my multiplier, I would have to move my decimal point 2 times to the left. So I would have to turn that percentage into a decimal. So right now my decimal point is right there, so I move 2 times to the left, and I end up with a multiplier of 1.07. So to get a growth of 7%, I'd have to use the multiplier of 1.07. If I use my example from over here, where I start with 3 and it goes up 200%, if I made an equation out of that, it'd be y equals, I start with 3, it grows at 7%, so I'd get 3 times 1.07 to the nth power. Okay, so that's 7% growth. Now, if I wanted 7% decay, so I wanted to go decrease by 7%, I would still start with 100%. But this time I would subtract 7%, so I would go down 7%, which gives me 93%. Okay, and again, I have to take my decimal point, move 2 times to the left, and I get a multiplier of 0.93. So if I wanted to decay 7%, and let's say we started with 3 again, so we have an initial value of 3, and it goes down 7%, so 0.93 to the n power. So in summary, anytime you want to find a multiplier of either growth or decay, you start with 100%, and you're either going to add to 100% or you're going to subtract from 100%. And let's kind of apply this. So let's talk about bacteria. In a different video, we talked about bacteria. Again, we're going to start with 100 bacteria. So 100 bacteria. And we have, it's growing at a rate, so it's growing at a rate of 7%. So we just found the multiplier for 7%. And it's growing at 7% per hour. And it's important to know what our time interval is. And I want to know after 3 hours. Okay, so we have y is equal to 100 because we start with 100 bacteria. We just said above here, so right here, our multiplier for 7% growth is 1.07. So I have 1.07 to the third power. Okay, so your exponent's number of time intervals. One time interval we said was an hour, and after 3 hours, so to the third power. So if I calculate that, I get 100 times 1.07 to the third, and I end up with y is equal to 122.50. Now we have to look at our answers there. We can't have a half a bacteria, so I end up with y equals 122 bacteria, okay, if it's growing at a rate of 7%.